Well, we have a whole passel of things to cover today. Coaches coming, coaches going, roundabout here and there, and press conferences with both Rich Rodriguez and our first time with Jack Bicknell. So, real quickly, I will say, I'm Forrest Poston. This is WVU Football Going Deep, the channel where personal insults and trash talk do not fly. I hope you will subscribe, make comments, click the thumbs up, click the notification bell, tell your friends, and every good thing you can think of. And if that includes clicking the thanks button below the video, well, thanks. Now, the most recent news, it appears that former head coach Neal Brown is being hired by the Texas Longhorns. In what role? We don't quite know. May just be sort of a special, assistant. Don't know if he will have an exact position. But, of course, this reunites him with Chad Scott. Can't call it an upward movement since he's not head coach, but he is joining one of the top programs in the country, even if not one of the most likable programs in the country. Well, maybe they're likable, but not necessarily well-liked by everybody. Also, coming to West Virginia, we have a new running backs coach, Larry Porter, most recently of North Carolina. A lot of people, you've got people out there that every move Rodriguez makes, they want to play it up as, greatest thing since sliced bread, that sort of old bit. Appears to be a very good coach. Is he better than Chad Scott? I don't know. Probably right on that same level. Now, Porter does seem to be a position coach. His history says that's his spot. He did 1 year as a head coach at Memphis. It was not good. And he was an assistant head coach, for a while. But generally speaking, he has been running backs coach and sometimes a special teams coordinator. And I've got no problem with that. I'm not putting him down. Not everybody has to become an offensive coordinator or a head coach. You do what you do well and what you enjoy most. But let's not create any greater pretense. We hired a well-respected running backs coach, older than Chad Scott. I don't know what his personality is compared to Scott. We don't necessarily need anybody to bring intensity. You could put the entire rest of the coaching staff on an overdose of Valium, and Rodriguez would still bring enough intensity to cover things. So that is his way. It's how he does things and how it works for him. So now, I kind of think I don't know if Scott and Rodriguez would have really worked well together through the season. How good you are is one thing, but fit matters as much for coaches as it does for players. So this may be a better fit. Chad Scott may be a better fit, with the current staff at Texas. I just wish them all good luck. Okay. Now, real quick note. Of course, during the short stretch of not having a running backs coach, Trickett was handling running backs. He does move around a lot on the offense. He does not have the official title of offensive coordinator, but I think we can say he is as close as we've got. Probably Trickett and Rodriguez. Rodriguez will call the plays. He is the man in charge. But Trickett is probably the guy who pulls things together. So, yeah. Offensive coordinator in all but name. Now, Bicknell. I'm going to go with Bicknell before Rodriguez. There were uncertainties about Bicknell when he was hired because he moved around an awful lot. He had this great reputation. Now, it seems that he, has had that bad luck of, frequently getting hired someplace and year or two later, head coach gets fired. And you can't blame a position coach for not being around if the head coach gets fired. But everything, everybody felt that he was good. Now, having listened to him, we had a good offensive line coach. Nothing bad against Matt Moore, but just in terms of sheer personality and attitude, coaching philosophy and method, Bicknell would have been a great fit with Neal Brown. He talked several times about how much he enjoys working with the players. Talked about the lessons that you learn, and again, not just hard edge lessons. Being in a position to have a positive influence at a time that's critical for people. That sounds like Neal Brown talking. Now Bicknell is a little more laid back, sitting around the Cracker Barrel or pot-bellied stove kind of speaker. And I think let's face it, one of the reasons some fans did not like Neal Brown is he talked like a guy with a college education. And people didn't sit well with some people, and that's unfortunate. And actually, let me cut here real quick, because one big point I want to make: Bicknell, Rodriguez, Neal Brown, they are not saying anything different from one another. They're saying it differently. The words they use, the accent, the pacing, the style, those differ. But people make it sound like Rodriguez is saying things different from Neal Brown. He's not. He's not completely happy with the intensity so far in practice. Well, you know what? I don't think you're going to find a press conference in the first couple of weeks of spring practice where a coach says they are happy with the intensity consistently or the number of mistakes made. They will complain and praise differently, but the content of what they're saying is the same. I mean, it's the same. And, so don't give me, this hard edge, that hard edge, this, that, or the other. The coaching concepts, it's the same. All right. Now, back to Bicknell. Now, you know, he had very good things to say about the line. Of course, not perfect, but made it clear that, you know, the want to, I think was a phrase he used, is there. I said attitude is great. He's impressed. Now, again, and talk about being the same. So pretty much everybody is snapping to see who can snap well. They intend to cross-train. And if you think you haven't heard that for the last 6 years, you weren't listening. This is the same approach that we've had in the past. Now, the details probably will vary, but the concepts are the same. And actually, Bicknell said the game hasn't changed. And he says the players haven't changed. Now, Rodriguez has mentioned some differences in players, and yeah, there are some differences. But the basic things have not changed in 50 years. And he also said the lessons that you teach or that you learn from football, and yeah, I mean, Brown talked more than once about football, he felt being the best sport to teach lessons, not just techniques. But he said those are the same. What surrounds the game and players has changed. The portal. You've always got that kind of, lurking about, whether you're a player or a coach. That's there. You can't ignore it, but then again, you can't coach to it either. But, Bicknell said, one thing his father told him before he became a head coach was treat every player like they're your own son. Which, did not mean be soft on them. But, it's an attitude we're familiar with over the last few years. Rodriguez does not use that language, but he cares about the players. Not necessarily like a father, but he cares. Now, Rodriguez's press conference. We did not get any updates about injuries because nobody asked. And I'm getting pretty well pissed off about that. I'm kind of annoyed that Rodriguez doesn't do it, but he does not approach the press conferences in an organized manner. I mean, I don't think he even does an opening statement. And of course, Neal Brown injury updates sort of thing was standard, and then if there were things he missed, somebody asked. Rodriguez does not offer any information people don't ask for, and they're not asking. And I do not know why. I have inquired, and we'll see if I get an answer from certain media members as to why they are not asking about injuries. Now, we've had reports, from practice. This comes, the 24/7, board. Not all of it actually from formal media, but just where I'm not sure. But it came up on the board. Of course, Jaheim White had work done on his knee. I guess Khalil Wilkins, Chase Wilson, and, I think they mentioned somebody else, and I have already forgotten who. But first or second press conference, Rodriguez said that there were 9 or 10 guys on the sidelines. So we still don't know most of them. But so if I find out, I'll let you know. Now, I'm going to take exception to something both Rodriguez and Bicknell said. They've said that, shotgun eliminates backside, issues. You don't have a blindside tackle because, the quarterback is facing forward. He can see left and right equally at that point, no matter whether they are a left or right-handed quarterback. Well, that's true. But watch the game. Yes, if a guy tips a blitz in the shotgun, you should be able to see it. If a guy times a blitz to where, once the quarterback goes into throwing position, he has a blind side. And that's sometimes pretty shortly after the snap. If you get, that nickel, spur bandit kind of guy coming as soon as you go into your passing stance, they can still get to you on your blind side. We've seen it. It happened to West Virginia more than once, and it, has been an advantage for West Virginia more than once. Not as much last year, really, because there wasn't as much blitzing. But there's still a blind side. It's not the same as when the quarterback was under center and had to drop back 5 or 7 steps, whatever. But you still, turn. Now, if the timing's right, it doesn't matter. But a deeper pass, whatever, it can still matter. All right. Kind of makes me wish I was official media and in Morgantown and I would have it out. And then maybe lose any media standing I had. Anyway, on some of the boards, some of the reports, people are reporting things that Rodriguez says and giving them a negative tone that isn't there when Rodriguez says it. Some people are trying to play up the idea that he is unhappy with the way things stand, or unhappier than you would expect at this point. I got none of that watching the actual press conference. Is he happy? No. And he said himself, at this point in spring practice, no coach is. This is a point, they're learning a brand new system, new, terminology. A lot of them have never played together before. They're making mistakes. Well, that's the way it happens early in spring. He saw some good, he saw some ugly, and he said, that's the way it is. No coach is happy with it, but that's the way it is at this point. And I was kind of getting mad at Rodriguez when I was reading the media reports. And now I'm kind of mad at the media, not Rodriguez. Now Rodriguez also, he said, hey, when asked, if they had linemen who could do the job, he said, well, if they can't, then we'll fire them and bring in ones who can. Well, he wasn't serious. He made it clear he wasn't serious. Yeah, because, if you are a coach, you got to get them ready. And you can't just toss guys out, bring guys in, because that ends up getting you nowhere. You coach them. You get them better. If they can't do the job now, you get it so they can. Now, of course, eventually, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But he is not any unhappier than you should expect at this point. He's happy with the quarterback room, happy with the tight end room. He actually mentioned Greg Ross as an athletic guy, I think was his phrase. It's the first we've had a specific mention of Jen Ross, so good to hear that does seem to be working out. He also, a good question. Media asked, are you just really looking for tight ends who can block? And no, he's not. He specified you got to have guys who can block the defensive end, linebacker, that sort of thing, but who can also run routes. In addition to Jen Ross, he mentioned Pascuzzi who came in from Iowa, and Jack Samarco. So he wants to have 4 who are ready. Expects to use anywhere from 1 to 4. Not using 4 often, but it's a possibility. So, on the field at one time. So, could get interesting. We'll see how that works out. Running back room, he's a little iffy on because, he says they need to run with more authority. So, White has experience but is currently sidelined. Mentioned Hubbard for the second time as being a guy who's doing it well. And then, basically, other guys need to run with more authority. Now, it's only second day in pads. Running back coach left, just getting another running back coach in. New system, new philosophy. So I'm not worried about where these guys are at this point. Would like a spring game so I could see where they are at the end of spring, but of course we ain't getting that. And still, nobody really asking why. There have been some jokes about it, but no real, information. And I still want to know who's making up any money difference as far as donations to the Children's Hospital. So, yeah, that's not a question you're going to hear asked in a live on film press conference, unless I were there, of course. Yeah. Another reason why, if I were ever allowed into one press conference, I probably wouldn't be allowed into a second. Let's see. Yeah, I said main thing he likes. Yeah, I said the guys are they're conscientious and working pretty hard. He didn't say very hard. He didn't seem dissatisfied with how much they are trying and how hard they're trying to learn quickly. And yeah, basically he said, yeah, they're doing a good job of trying to learn as fast as they can. He recognizes it's a difficult situation. Now, of course, he's not known for patience. So I'm sure players are hearing a lot about their mistakes. And then one of the assistant or position coaches helps them out. But now, how well are things going? Who knows this early in the season? There's still 11 more spring practices, I believe. And then summer will be when they really try to sort out what all they have learned. And fall is when you really want to see it working. We will have more press conferences later. Hopefully we will get word on what Neal Brown is doing, when we will get any interaction with the new running backs coach. Don't know. Hopefully the local media will be getting more access. They got a very few minutes in there to look at practice today. So feedback is limited, but we'll take things from there. All right, thanks for dropping in, listening, and watching. And I will talk to you guys later. So long.